Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of 2 Chronicles, the first chapter. And with the reason we're going to 2 Chronicles here first is that the having gone through First Kings and Second Kings, this was considered more of like the time of the divided kingdom. Okay, of after the reign of King Solomon, right? You had the kingdom split, and so First Kings, Second Kings, and ultimately Second Chronicles covers that bulk of that section there. And in Second Chronicles, you do have some a bit more context on some of the events, right? It's the same events that happen that you read about in the book of First and Second Kings, but there are certain parts in there, certain bits in there that give you a bit more context that maybe you wouldn't get from the book of Second Kings, for example. So we're gonna go through the book of Second Chronicles and just keeping in mind, right, around what time period this is. So back to the time of King Solomon, right, we're dealing with Israel being a united kingdom and having this basically being in a well economic state, right, having reign over, let's just look up here, Solomon's kingdom map. Cool. So this is not bad, but you can see the places that are highlighted, right? You can see the different colors depict different things here. This is the territory, the red, before David became king. Orange, right after David inherited, area conquered by David and inherited by Solomon, and area under strong economic influence of Solomon, going all the way up north. So, we were positioned in a well-favored economic situation, right? Because of this, especially because of the position or the location that we were in, being able to facilitate trade between north and south of us. So this is the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 1 verse 1. And Solomon, the son of David, was strengthened in his kingdom, and the Lord Yahweh his God was with him and magnified him exceedingly. So at this point, King Solomon has now become king. The Lord has strengthened him. He is officially in power, and the Lord is with him here. Then Solomon spake unto all Israel, to the captains of thousands and of hundreds, and to the judges, and to every governor in all Israel, the chief of the fathers. So Solomon and all the congregation with him went to the high place that was at Gibeon. For there was the tabernacle of the congregation of God, which Moses, the servant of the Lord Yahweh, had made in the wilderness. And this was the tabernacle that, wherever we would set camp, it would be, the priest would carry it forth, right, open it, set it up, and then when it's time to go again, there were different families of the Levites that were assigned different roles when it came to the ordinances of the tabernacle, right, which later on transferred to the actual temple once it was rebuilt or built by King Solomon. So for a period of time, they set the tabernacle at Gibeon, and that's where Solomon went here with the elders and everybody else. But the ark of God had David brought up from Kirjath Jearim to the place which David had prepared for it, for he had pitched a tent for it at Jerusalem. So the actual Ark of the Covenant wasn't there at Gibeon. David had that transported to a place in Jerusalem. Now, I believe it was during this transport that you had, I think his name was Uzzah, who when the ox that, I think it was the ox that drave the cart that was carrying the Ark, it basically, moved too much. And so as the Ark was looking like it was about to fall, Uzzah, not being a Levite, reached out to save it, and the Lord put him to death right on the spot because he wasn't sanctified to touch it. nonetheless, they were able to successfully get it to that location there, and then they danced and rejoiced and so on. Verse 5, moreover, the brazen altar that Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, had made, he put before the tabernacle of the Lord Yahweh, and Solomon and the congregation sought unto it. So when you go back into the wilderness in the book of Exodus, remember that when the Lord told Moses and gave him the blueprints for the tabernacle, the altar, all the materials that were needed, he also put heavy spirit or enhanced the spirit of certain individuals and put wisdom within them to be able to be skilled in all sorts of crafts, right? And therefore they were able to build these things efficiently. And one of those individuals being Bezaleel, the grandson of Hur, which Hur was also one of the, important men, right, along with Moses and Aaron that helped them out and played a good key role in there as well. Verse 6, and Solomon went up thither to the brazen altar before the Lord Yahweh, which was at the tabernacle of the congregation, and offered 1,000 burnt offerings upon it. And that's a lot. That is a lot of offerings. In that night did the Most High appear unto Solomon, and said unto him, ask what I shall give thee. And Solomon said unto God, Thou hast showed great mercy unto David my father, and hast made me to reign in his stead. Now, O Lord Yahweh, let thy promise unto David my father be established. For thou hast made me king over a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Meaning there was so much, right? You can't even count the dust of the earth because it's so much. And that's the point Solomon is making here. Give me now wisdom and knowledge, that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this thy people that is so great? So in a nutshell, he asked for the ability, right, the great wisdom and knowledge to be able to fulfill his lot the best way possible. And by going in and coming out among them, meaning in living amongst Israel and ruling amongst them and judging amongst them, he wanted to judge righteous judgment. And with the kind of people Israel were, you needed that level of wisdom to appropriately rule over people like that. So that's what he asked for. And God said unto Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet has asked long life, but hast asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people, over whom I have made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches, and wealth, and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after thee have the like. And that was a very great blessing right there. Then Solomon came from his journey to the high place that was at Gibeon to Jerusalem, from the tabernacle of the congregation, and reigned over Israel. And Solomon gathered chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, which he placed in the chariot cities, and with the king at Jerusalem. And the king made silver and gold at Jerusalem as plenteous as stones, and cedar trees made he as the sycamore tree that are in the vale for abundance. That means is by Solomon reigning, they were able to generate so much revenue, so much riches, that silver and gold was is as common as seeing stones. That's how much of it they had. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price, meaning the how much they were able to get the linen yarn from. But these were sort of those real high quality items and resources that they were able to get their hands on. And they fetched up and brought forth out of Egypt a chariot for 600 shekels of silver, and an horse for 150. And so they brought out horses for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria by their means. And what this means was, it was sort of like importing and exporting, like a trade, right? And obviously Israel would make money off of that, because by importing those chariots for a certain price, right, into Egypt, then they could then be exported or sold to the those that were north of Israel, right? So importing it from Egypt into Israel, right, and then sending it up north. So the Syrians and the Hittites and those that needed these resources, you know, one of the probably most ill-advised things to do would be to have to go all the way by sea, you know, because once again, trading by sea is a lot more risky, right, and more expensive, more costly. And so instead of them having to come all the way down through here and all the way back and forth, Jerusalem would buy them, and then, or Israel would buy them, and then they could export it to the kings or those north that needed it. So they were making, you know, good use of that positioning over there. But anyway, that brings us to the end of the first chapter in the book of 2 Chronicles. And Lord willing, this is edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rechak Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.